Today is the 18th. I have, 18th of April. I have been a busy boy. I have been doing electrolysis on my arm to the point where it's finally starting to show some hair loss. Which way? There we go. I don't know if it's very visible, but some of the hair is actually starting to go. My whole arm probably looks pretty unhairy because I have to shave it, but you know, the main thing is going the little bit of extra appointments is helping some. I'm genuinely considering still getting more electrolysis though, because they still haven't touched half of my arm. And if I can somehow get it going in another place, that would be super helpful. I also have been going to school and I got some scholarship money that came in, and I'm thinking I could use that for living stuff and my actual paycheck from my job to pay for some electrolysis. So that is where my brain is at with that. As far as school's going, it's going really well. About to do a big massive event this weekend, like insanely huge, and I'm running all of it somehow. Mind boggling to me. I have like two newspapers coming to do articles on it. Like, just my mind is blown by how big this thing has gotten. um, Teams from schools all over the state are invited, and we have like prizes, and every sponsor, that we needed to fund everything, we got all of it. It's just like, wow. Also, I submitted a research paper to a conference and was accepted. So I will be presenting at a conference in May. So, my very first one, my very first time. So, school's going really well. The biggest thing, still a hindrance in my life, is definitely electrolysis and not being able to get my surgery. So, if I can just somehow push that, if I can somehow make that happen and stop being a never ending moving goalpost, that would be fantastic for me. I did have an issue for my testosterone. I got it refilled like normal, like always, and the pharmacy, for some strange reason, instead of submitting it directly to my doctor, submitted it to the facility my doctor works in. Never had this happen before that I'm aware of, but anyway, a different doctor who works there tried to fill it. This flagged my insurance that something was amiss, and so they wanted prior auth. So then my doctor's nurse tried to do the submittal of the prior auth herself, but they ended up submitting it to a prior auth team at the facility, because it wasn't from the normal pathways for it being approved. It was really annoying. It took like 2 weeks, and thank goodness I had been keeping any leftover testosterone and trying to basically make it last a little longer anytime that I accidentally miss some or something, because it meant I didn't go completely without testosterone. I am a person who naturally can only produce unhealthy levels of testosterone for a man because of my being born intersex, and so I don't want to go back to having like 200 testosterone. I don't want to go back to being depressed. I don't want to go back to being miserable, like susceptible to sickness and feeling my bones hurting and brittle, and like I don't need all of the horrible health issues to come back, the mental health issues to come back, like none of it. So yeah, thank goodness I do that, because that was a pain in the butt. But what do you do? I have had to talk about some uncomfortable and unpleasant things lately with some people, some of them involving me being what I am. So that's not the best, but I have thankfully received mostly positive results from that, even if it was uncomfortable for people at the moment. The conversation in the long run worked out. So I'm really glad about that because I have had times before where that uncomfortable conversation just turned into disgust. So I either am getting better at explaining it or else I'm just around less shitty of people and they're just nicer in general, which is a high possibility. I did go ahead and talk to someone at the college I'm at because of the event that's this weekend, the big giant one. And he basically was telling me about how the school didn't actually have any LGBT plus communities and any LGBT plus like safe spaces or study areas or something, and that there were some for minority groups, some for first generation students, and for running start students, which are basically high schoolers who are taking a college class or two to prepare for college, and that way they'll have a head start. You know, they have spaces for all these different kinds of things, but they don't have any spaces for LGBT plus at my college. And he said, it's on the list of things that we support, but we don't actually have like a special space for them. And I was thinking about petitioning for it. And I was like, well, if I can help, I will be glad to help. I'm the president of a club. If my voice counts as like speaking for multiple students because of that or something, I'm happy to do so. And he seemed, pretty happy about that. And so I might be helping that. I don't know. I've still been letting my mustache grow longer. And again, it doesn't matter at all in some ways because it is blonde and basically invisible. But it being longer makes me feel like it's a little more noticeable and it makes me feel a little more comfortable. So I've been letting it be longer. I have no idea if anyone can even see it, but I can feel it. I can feel it. And to me, that's helpful. It lowers issues that I feel. I have stopped losing weight and I'm hoping to just like leave myself where I am. I basically lost like 25 to 30-ish, somewhere between there, pounds. And I don't want to keep losing any more weight because eventually the surgery is going to happen. And in like 2 or 3 months, I'm going to have to regain all that weight back. And I don't want to go too low because it'll be really hard to get that weight back. But I don't want to be at full heaviness the entire time I'm waiting for the surgery. So I just let some of the weight come off, but it is funny. All of my pants now, like I have to wear a belt and stuff. But I'll get all the weight back, have the surgery, and then have to lose it all again. Oh well, there are worse things, like how long electrolysis takes. Anyway, I think that's mostly it. It's not really much of a check-in, but almost everything is about like school and work and pursuing my dreams in those kinds of ways. At the moment, there's not a lot going on with surgery and stuff. So until more is happening with that, I can't do more about that. And while I am happy that there is finally some sign of progress with electrolysis, it's just not where I was hoping to be by this point. Like in June, it'll be a year, and half my arm has never even been zapped once. And so, yeah, that is where my brain is leaning in regards to that. We'll see. Maybe next month I will be like, you know what? So I tried the whole letting them do an extra appointment thing and it wasn't good enough, and here's what I'm doing instead. Who knows? Maybe that will be happening. It's definitely on my radar. It just sucks that there's so many waiting lists for electrolysis. That's really such a massive hurdle. Electrolysis is just an enormous hurdle. Seriously, if anyone's ever considered becoming an electrolysis, you will always have customers. Always. Please do it. Thank you. Anywho, that's where I'm at.